And with that, I would like to give a large welcome to our Tools of Marketing team. Marietta Ryder is the owner, operator, and visionary extraordinaire of Tools of Marketing, and I'm sure we will hear a little about how she started this business. In the middle there, we've got Kristen Lamberty, and Kristen serves on the Chamber's Promotions Committee and is a great help to us. And then Betty Breinick, she keeps scooting out of the frame. Betty, get closer to Kristen. There we go. Betty is a friend to so many in Sauk Prairie and an employee at Tools of Marketing. And so I'm really excited to have them here today. You know, a lot of times people get empathy and sympathy confused. And sympathy is just being responsive to your own past, your own experiences that kind of drive that response. And it might be flippant and you may not take time to really think about the best response. It's more of a casualty, if you will. For empathy, it's really trying to take yourself out of the equation and think about what the person is saying and how they may be feeling about that, and just taking time to understand it from their perspective. And so that is one of the reasons when Mr. Wright with the school district had shared that the school district employees were going through a year-long process of learning about empathy, I thought, you know, in the world that we live in, and whether it's a Zoom meeting or in person, I think we all could benefit from this topic. And so I asked him to kick us off the first of this year. And today we're going to hear a little bit more about empathy in action and how it impacts employee recruitment and retention. So welcome, Tools of Marketing team. Marietta, I'm going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about the early days of Tools of Marketing and how employee recruitment and retention has changed today.
Well, I started out in a one bedroom of my house, and it was just me. And then my niece Amanda started working for me, which is kind of cool that she's still here. But she was about 13, 14 and started filing catalogs. She was very, very shy. It was a way for her to get out and earn a little money and do something. And then I hired Dina, my sister-in-law, and then we hired her friend Joanne. So it kind of was a lot of people I knew or referrals from people I knew that kind of kicked off Tools of Marketing. And that's kind of how it started. When I originally started my business, part of my goal was to not have employees. I had worked for a company, was an office manager there, and it was stressful, and my bosses weren't always nice to people. If they did something wrong, they would kind of write them off and wait until they would leave. And so I just didn't want to deal with all that drama anymore. And now I'm in a totally different place, which is kind of cool that I try to be a good boss. I try to relate to them in the way that, you know, how I was when I was just an employee, and be flexible, because I think that that's a huge thing today, is to be able to be flexible with their schedules. You know, they have appointments and they have kids that they have to deal with, or they want to go play pickleball. Great, go play pickleball, you know, and try and work around people's schedules, because flexibility is huge. And that's something that I think that's very important to everybody.
Yep. Well, I'm going to start sharing my screen now. One of the things that we know from data is that empathy definitely helps with the employee retention piece. And from a recruitment standpoint, I would think that everyone, let me just pull this up. Oh, what's happening here? Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. From a recruitment standpoint, once the word gets out, I think it's an easy way to have people recruit on your behalf just by sharing their story. I've got someone else trying to come in, so I've got to minimize this for.
I let them in.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's get started here. 35% of employees would switch companies for equal pay if they were more empathetic. 40% would work longer hours for an empathetic employer, and 56% would stay with a company that met their needs. And so when we look at this picture here, the first thing that really just jumps out to me is your diversity of employees. We've got males in the photo, we've got retired teachers in the photo, retired HR directors, and the team just keeps growing and growing. Kristen, let's hear from you to get us started. As a young professional, why do you think Tools of Marketing is a workplace of choice?
A big thing for me was like the way they do a lot of hands-on stuff. They're not afraid to let you take a stab at something, and you don't have to have done it a million times for them to trust you to do something. And they're there for feedback and help all along the way, which is a really positive thing. And just getting more experiences like that helps you grow, work and personally, just, believing in yourself. Also, again, with like the scheduling, I feel like there's a decent amount of people who have like slightly modified schedules. And so you never feel bad if you have to like take a little time for something or, have different plans going on. Nobody makes you feel bad about having your life and your job. And also we do a lot of fun activities, like the whole bowling thing was awesome. And, everyone can hang out and have a good time, and it's not weird or anything. Like it's actually a really good time.
Yeah, definitely. And Betty, let's hear from you. Can you give me an example of empathy in the workplace that you see at Tools?
The big thing is the flexibility, what has been mentioned. And with all the seniors that have put in years, this group, they're very hard workers and they have no problem coming in when it works for them and dealing with everybody here. It really is from the top down. They all seem to get along. The bantering, that's what makes it fun, and the social interaction. So no, we look forward to getting the email saying, can you come in? The stress isn't there. It really isn't. So that's what really helps, the interaction and being able to express your opinion and the listening on both parts. That's what's really, it's just fun.
Okay. Marietta, I think you were the first business in Sauk Prairie that went to a model of work when you can. If you work and give me 100%, I'll work with the schedule that works for you. Was that scary for you at the beginning?
No, not really. It's good for us because we don't have consistent where we need somebody every day. Big part where the big push came in was last fall. We had decorators that they were backed up, and the backup was in trimming. They couldn't trim the embroidery off the back of the garments for us because they didn't have enough staff. And we were desperate for the garments. We had already had Betty and Dottie here helping periodically with mailings and shipments and stuff. And so we called them up and said, hey, can you, help with this trimming? And we just had the stuff sent here because we needed it so bad. And then Betty started telling other ladies, and it's just escalated from there. And so it's perfect for us because they're not sitting here twiddling their thumbs on a day we don't need them. But when we need them, we can just send out an email. There's about 20 ladies, and we just say, hey, we've got some trimming to do tomorrow. If you can make it, great. And if you can't, that's okay. So it becomes a very flexible in that way. We also have, for example, Joe, he loves to golf, and he's retired, but he doesn't want to be fully retired. So in the winter, he's kind of working 4 days a week, but then in the summer, can I work 1 day a week? So he stays fresh with what's going on and doesn't lose, 3 months of what's happening at Tools Marketing, but it gives flexibility for high schoolers and college students to come back and be able to work during the summer. But it gives Joe the flexibility when the weather's nice to be off and golfing. So we try and do that with staff.
Okay. What would happen, Marietta, if I'm, say, Kristen's age, and I apply, we interview, you like me, I like you, but I just really can't do the 5-day-a-week thing, and that's what it's posted at. What does that conversation look like?
We would just talk through it. It depends on what area. So we try and make sure our staff every area is staffed. For example, in graphics. So one designer works from 8 to 4, one works 9 to 5, one works 8:30 to 4:30. So that, we kind of cover that early morning and late afternoon. And we're kind of different that way too, where we, if they choose, instead of their 15-minute morning break, the 15-minute afternoon break, they get a half-hour paid lunch. So that way there's less time at the office, and then they have that little bit of extra time at home. So that's a little bit of flexibility that we can give them, as long as they, stay in the building, then they can have that paid lunchtime.
Yeah.
So we try and do that flexibility. We have had people where, they, Laura, for example, she works remotely because, especially during the pandemic, she had her son at home and had his schooling, so she worked from home. She still works from home, but now we've merged her back to coming in 1 day a week. So she's more up on the new software that we've just implemented.
Okay.
So we do have some flexibility. Kinsey, towards the end of her pregnancy, we had her stay home and she worked remotely.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the beauty of one of the things that we've learned through this process. But Kristen touched on trust. And I think I remember hearing that one of the initiatives you did during COVID was trying to change people to train in different departments so everyone had a better understanding of what each of the departments did. Did I dream that, or was that true?
That's always something that we strive for. And hopefully now that we've gotten this computer program, updated, that we'll be able to get back to that. But yes, we try and have, so if, Kristen needs to go, a culvert person stops and they need to grab something from the back, she knows where to find it, those kinds of things. So we, yes, try and have multiple people trained so that they can help in other areas.
Yeah.
We also have everybody leave, well, almost everybody leave Fridays at 4 o'clock. And then there's 1 or 2 people that stay, and it rotates, that stay till 5, so that we can kind of start that weekend early.
Okay, that's a great perk. One of the things I did was kind of snooped around your Facebook page, and it became very apparent how much fun you all have. And Marietta, I know that this is probably an area that is directed from you, mandated that you're going to pause, that you're going to have some fun, but it also costs quite a bit of money. But can you just speak to a little of why you feel like it's valuable to do these things?
I try and change it up a lot, and it really depends on the situation. We had one bridal shower last summer where she's a very shy person. So instead of a traditional shower, we had a water balloon fight as our shower in the parking lot. So that's, I think, where Amanda got wet that day. I don't know. I try and come up with fun, unique things. This year, right now, they got to pick between a Brewers game, paintballing, or a winery tour and lunch at the winery. So that we weren't, emptying out the whole staff at a given time frame, but that everybody got to go and do something fun. So that's kind of the spring thing. But I've been known to say, hey, it's a quiet afternoon. We're going to play bunco for the next hour. So we will randomly throw the bunco cards out or dice out, and we'll play bunco for an hour. It really depends on how crazy busy we are, but I try and throw things in there because I think that's really important. We spend more time with our staff and our friends at work than we do with our family at home. So let's make it enjoyable.
Right. Betty, was it a shock for you to work for an organization that said, hey, let's stop what we're doing and play bunco right now?
I so looked forward to it. I really did. I've known Marietta for a long, long time, and that really wasn't a surprise. I love how flexible and the bantering between everybody. It just makes everybody closer here. It really does.
Right.
So, no, it was great. It really is. So that's why we
Kristen,
look forward to coming back to work when she puts out the notice.
yeah. Kristen, when you talk to other people your age about their workplace and your workplace, is it quite different? And how do you describe Tools of Marketing and why you stay?
Yeah, I would say it's like a lot different. A lot of my friends, like from college, like their first out of college job, like they hate it, and like I don't hate mine. So, and like I really think it's fun. Like we do a lot of fun things, and like people are like, you did that for work. I'm like, yeah, we did. You know, so there is like a just like a lightheartedness with a lot of it, where it's like work hard, play hard. It's kind of two sides of the coin, because yeah, we have busy times, but it makes it worth it when you're like, oh, I really care about my team members. And then also like my company cares about me back, and we get to do fun things when we have the opportunity.
So quickly, because there's a lot of HR directors on here, Kristen, and what do your friends say? Why do they not enjoy their positions? Can you just give me a feel for some of the things that are really frustrating and challenging to people in your age group?
Well, a lot of them are just in very stationary office jobs, like very cubically, and just nobody talks all day really. So I think the lack of just, I don't know, having other people,
Social.
yeah, the social
Social.
aspect, because we work in graphics a lot. We'll, you know, lean over every few minutes and be like, hey, what do you think of this? Do you think this or this? Like colors, designs, this, that. It's like a group effort, where I think a lot of my friends thought there would be more of that in their job, and there really isn't.
Okay. That's what I was wondering a moment ago when you talked about Marietta and her impromptu stopping work and allowing people to do something fun. As a designer, does that help with your creativity? And do you feel like anyone needs that time for your brain just to stop what it's focused on and do something different?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that, because especially when you've been looking at a certain project for a really long time, just sometimes a break, and when you come back, you have a whole different idea of what you should do, and it's way better than what you were doing before. So yeah, I definitely think that helps.
And so a break to the lunchroom and a drink of water and back to the desk, does that cut it?
I mean, it helps, and like, I mean, we have like a Keurig and all that stuff. So yeah, you can just go get some stuff like a snack or whatever if you need. But there's like those kind of breaks, and then there's like the super fun breaks where, you know, like the water balloon fights and whatnot. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was getting at. People get so
Marietta is noted to all the seniors for sure, and the rest of them here. On Monday, if you work, you have a lunch made for you, and that lunch is just awesome. Probably the best lunch I eat during the whole week. But I mean, that's already made, so you can work real hard here and know I got a great lunch coming. You know, Marietta does great with coming up with that.
And there's usually leftovers for several days. And then we celebrate everybody's work anniversary by they get to pick a lunch location. So we'll have it brought in from Press Box or the gym or Culver's or whatever they choose. And then for their birthdays, it's always been custard. We just did buy a popcorn machine. So now they have a choice between custard and popcorn for their birthdays. So today was custard day. So
awesome. Well, I want to make sure we allow some time, but Marietta, one of the things that we've heard several times is trust and taking time to listen and really understanding that everyone is an individual. When you talked about the employee who is an introvert and you wanted to make sure she was comfortable with the type of baby shower and stuff, how does that go into when you have to give negative feedback to people? What's your approach to providing the negative feedback, but then also giving them an opportunity to reply? And does it change your view on what occurred?
and that's probably something I need to improve on. I'm not sure that I'm the best at that either. I guess we try and reinforce some of the positive. I still do payroll by hand, so they print the checks, but I write on everybody's checks. So not every month or every week or whatever when I do payroll, but sometimes I write notes on there, like, hey, you're really getting it. Way to go, kind of thing. So that's kind of a positive.
That
The last few months
is
have been tough because of our new computer program. But, when someone does something nice, I try and say, hey, that was really good, and reinforce more of the positive, or, hey, can you tweak this, or, I don't know.
Yep. Well, we see here the statistics behind things that you're talking about, team building activities and their creativity, and just people needing to get to know each other and taking the time to do so. One of the things that we talk about with empathy is understanding the other person's feelings, but communicating that understanding back. And I think for me, sometimes I do a better job communicating understanding after something has happened. And so, Jeff, I don't know if you're still in the room, but you got a head start on us. You got any tips for what a person can do to stop and make sure they understand those feelings before you start those hard conversations? I put you on the spot, I know.
Thanks, Tawana.
Yes, you're welcome. I appreciate you. But do you have anything that you could share on that? Because it sounds like Marietta and I both, this is the one side of empathy. We need some tips.
Well, I have Jeff's notes right here on my taped to my computer, which is really funny. And last time he said, take a breath and respond with love, not hate. So that was a good comment. I'm trying to work on this.
Yep.
And be ready to listen, which it sounds like that's what Marietta just said is consistent with just that. I think our gut reaction, especially when we're worked up or angry, is to be the one that's the loudest voice in the room. And rarely does that leave us in a good place when the conversation ends.
No. I love this image that I'm sharing, the top left quadrant. See their world. And really, before you have conversations, whether good or bad, maybe taking a moment just to think about too what they may be going through and how it may impact how they show up to work, or maybe how they're performing at work. And I think that could help us all be a little bit more empathetic. Appreciate them as human beings, as your neighbor, as your friend first. What other questions do we have for Marietta and her team? Got a lot of people out there. And this is informal, so if you have something, you can just ask. Anybody want to send a chat question? All right. The last thing I wanted to share with you all, the 6-8 team that is joining us today, they too are going to be diving a little deeper on this conversation, and they wanted to invite the group to the 6-8 lab on empathy. It's going to be on Wednesday, May 18th at 6 o'clock at 821 Industry Road. And they're going to be talking about this and learning from one another. John, do you want to share anything about this in particular?
Yes, thank you. We're, as a staff, we're diving in, like you said, on empathy and how we do that and how we treat that and how it even becomes a part of our ministry and our charity here. We had the privilege of viewing and working with an organization called IDEOS, where their goal is to cultivate empathic intelligence. And doing that, they experimented that with dialogue, how we just have discussion and dialogue when that breaks down and when we no longer are able to do that and listen and be able to learn from one another. Where is the other person coming from, and how does that inform my own view of where they're coming from? So we're going to be streaming a documentary called the Dialogue Lab America that was filmed or released in January. And it really goes through, it puts people of varying perspectives across political, social, economic perspectives, and engages them in a dialogue process. And all along the way, they're learning, and you get to learn as the viewers too, practicing and hearing from other people's perspectives. And then after the documentary, we're going to have a time of discussion and dialogue ourselves, and be able to hopefully build a community or a culture just by doing and experiencing, rather than just talking about it, but practicing it. We're learning here that empathy is really a muscle. And you can't just learn about, getting healthy. You have to exercise and eat well. And so similarly, empathy, we want to put it into practice. So hopefully next Wednesday, we'll have a good opportunity to practice that with one another. So help us promote it, and please join us if you're able.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to make that if I can. And, John, 6-8 deals a lot with people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, educational levels, trying to connect to a community. Maybe they're new to this area. Do you see communication within those small groups a challenge even? And is that why you decided to kind of take a look at this?
Yeah, I mean, for myself anyway, when I'm trying to help, it's really easy for me to assume, what they need, what the other person needs, or where they're coming from. And if I don't take the time to ask the questions like, what are you hearing? What are you seeing? To help inform, my relationship and connection with them, it's very simple to make judgments and assumptions of their results without understanding the data that they've gotten, their lived experience to arrive at those results. And likewise, to be able to allow myself to be able to share and what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, to build that empathy is a two-way street, that we not only do we model it and practice it, but we provide opportunity for the other to practice it and engage in that as well. But it's easy to jump to conclusions that I know what's wrong with you, so I know how to solve your problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you're also building trust when you take time to do that, or your safe zone, that they feel like that you've taken time to ask questions, invest in getting to know them. So now it opens the door for them to be able to trust you a little bit more. And I know, being from human service, it's so easy to get into this mentality and to know how to do that when you're in different populations than yourself. But when you go to your workplace that are people that you feel are just like you, and you have the same life, why don't we treat them the same? It's like you always need to remember you're always trying to earn someone's trust, no matter if it's your next door neighbor or someone within the workplace or someone that you don't know that you're trying to assist. So any parting questions for Marietta and Kristen and Betty at Tools of Marketing? Any suggestions of things you've seen in the workplace that have worked well?
Marietta, a question for you is, if when you're bringing in new people, if it's a culture of workplace that's different than maybe what they're used to, or do you ever see people that are a little bit hesitant to enjoy what you're offering or to be vulnerable with opening up because it maybe is a very different, where they're used to just, cubicle working?
I think everybody's shy at first, but I think, and especially I noticed in December, we do a lot of games, something every week, that kind of thing for the holidays. And I feel like that really helps them feel more comfortable, because the more we force them to do these things, not out of their comfort zone, but, participate and make it fun, they feel more comfortable about their job, if that makes sense, and who they're working with. And I don't know, I find that it really helps a lot.
Well, thank you again, Marietta.
Sarah
Yes.
typed something, but I didn't see what it said. Gee.
Tell her, Sarah, just say it.
I just said thanks, Tools Marketing, for just being a great example for our community of just bringing people together. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I concur with Sarah's comments. It's a pleasure to have your business in the community. Your employees are always excited and happy to be a part of this community. And that really starts with the leadership at the top. So kudos to you. Thank you for all you do. Everyone, thank you for taking 30 minutes today just to learn a little. I hope you took ideas that you can apply to your workplace. And we look forward to seeing you next month for another session of Chamber Connect. Make it a great day, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.